Good morning, all. Thank you for joining me for another scenic run.
Hey, road fly right here.
Today is September 1st, 2022. It's been quite a while since I've added a new video, done another run. Haven't been too active in my running, so I'm glad to be doing this again. This is not San Diego. I am on vacation in Portland, Oregon for an early birthday. This is the Waterfront Park, Tom McCall Waterfront Park. So we're gonna start at the south end, work our way north, cross over the steel bridge, and come back. And depending how I feel, either take the Hawthorne Bridge, then we just crossed under, or one past that called the Tillicum Crossing. This waterway you see here, this is the Willamette River. Not Willamette. Also, that's the name of the wine growing region here in Portland, the Willamette Valley. So I used to live in Portland for about 8 years, or 2009 to 2017, before I moved down to San Diego. It's a great town. Happy to be back for a long holiday weekend. It really holds a dear place in my heart. Crossing under the Morrison Bridge right now. Started my, running career, I guess, here. My original goal was to do a marathon before I turned 25. So started running, had a nice environment, nice trails to go start in. My very first competitive run was out here, starting at this Waterfront Park. That's the Shamrock Run for St. Patrick's Day, and I chose to do the long one. I think it was like 9 miles, and it goes up the southwest Terwilliger Hill and then back down. A lot of fun, loved it. It was really cool, and then kept going, doing like 5 and 10Ks after that, and then I did my first marathon up here in the north part of Portland on Sovie Island, called, gosh, what is it called? I think it's called like the Foot Traffic Flat. I forget, the name's eluding me right now. But yeah, it's on an island more farming area, agricultural, up in North Portland. Not too big. I think there was 400 registrants. It was actually super hard for me. I did that on the 4th of July. My older brother was visiting. I think I just planned too long for a training and got burnt out. And after like, I don't know, I think it was like 5 months of training, I just didn't want to do it anymore. And so the month leading up, I wasn't really getting my miles in. I wasn't even looking forward to it the morning of. They said, give yourself 45 minutes to get there on the island because there's only one way on. I did. I wasn't even on the island. I didn't cross the bridge by the start of the race. This is the Burnside Bridge. Over here they do the Saturday market. I'll be here tomorrow checking that out. Yeah, so luckily my brother drove a stick, so I was able to hop out of my car, run from the bridge to 2 miles to the start late, and then just go. Across yonder, those spires, the glass ones, that's the convention center. I don't know if you could read it here, but Moda Center, that's where the Trailblazers play. Rose Garden is also what it's called. This bridge up here, it's the Steel Bridge. It's my favorite one in Portland. Just looks very industrial. It's cool too because it's open to light rail, so like mass transit trains, the Union Pacific freight trains, pedestrian, and car and bus. So it's open to everything. All the others aren't. So in Portland there's, I forget how many bridges, but right here in downtown you got the Fremont Bridge, which is the highway, so just car, and you should be able to see that in the distance behind the orange one. It has a pretty iconic shape. It's like a grayish green. Then you have the burnt orange one. That's Broadmoor. Just car, bus, pedestrian. No trains. Steel, what we're going over now, which I told you, all of the above. Burnside, pedestrian, and automotive, and bus. No train. Morrison, same thing. Hawthorne, same thing. Fun fact though, if you ever watch The Hunted with Tommy Lee Jones and I think Benicio del Toro, they actually put a max line on there, and it's a pretty funny scene because, you know, it would take you maybe a minute on the train to get across, but they turned that scene into like 5 minutes. But yeah, after Hawthorne is the newer one, Tillicum Crossing, which is just mass transit and pedestrian, no personal vehicles. Alright, so now we're on the Eastbank Esplanade. So Portland is divided, this is gonna sound weird, into 5 quadrants. I'll go into that. So east and west divided by the Willamette River, and north and south divided by the Burnside Road. And then you have North Portland, which I'm not exactly sure where that starts. I think maybe Interstate divides that, as well as the Willamette River. But yeah, so there's Southwest, which is most of downtown, or half of downtown, and then there's Northwest, which is the other half of downtown. Southeast, Northwest, Northeast, sorry, and North. Southeast, Southwest, Northwest, Northeast, and North. So, I mean, back when I was here, there have been a lot of homeless encampments, and I'm still seeing signs of that. I mean, just like any other bigger city, I still see a lot of tents around, like those boats. I'm pretty sure are, people, I guess that would fall under homeless. They don't have a technical or traditional home. Yeah, sorry, going back to my marathon. Actually, pause for 1 second. This one right here, this is Burnside again. So right now we're on the northeast side. After we pass it, we'll be on the southeast side. So yeah, I ran to the start, kept going. It was actually a fun start because I'm starting basically in the back of the pack, and I'm passing a lot of people right away. But again, it's only 400 marathon entries, and I don't know how many hundred, like 5 or 10Kers that were doing it, or half marathoners. But I passed a lot of people. There was a lot of motivation. But I think up until mile 20, I just lost my motivation. And I did have to stop and walk at one point. You know, like I say, no shame in that. Do what you feel like your body's capable of doing. But for me, I wasn't too pleased with my performance. I think I did it in 4 hours and 9 minutes. That's the only one I did basically for almost the next decade. I just, from that point on, focused on doing 5Ks as fast as I can. My ultimate goal was doing a 5K, averaging a 6-minute mile. And I came so close, but never quite got there. I think it was the Cinco de Mayo run when I was 27, and I came in averaging a 6:18 or 6:08. Sorry, gosh, my mind. 6:02, and I think I just had too many races that season. I was trying to get a race in every like 2 or 3 weeks, and so that was the closest I came. I think I had one more race after that 2 weeks later, and did even worse. I think that one was like 6:08 or 6:10, something like that. So never quite hit it. And I personally, I don't train with groups. Aside from middle school, I never had any like running coach or like that's the only time I was in track and field. So, you know, if I ever really got into it and tried to get back at that goal, I might look for a running partner or a running coach that can get me there. But I'm about to be 10 years older than than that peak age, that age I peaked at. Okay, so here we go with Morrison. If you hear the cars, that's the I-5 freeway. Trying to do a few more runs while I'm here. Well, a couple more. Fly back on the first. Sorry, today's the first. Gosh, my mind is elsewhere. The 5th, Monday. So I have the opportunity to get a couple more. I haven't been running too much, like I said, so I'm gonna try to keep it under like 4 miles a run. This one should be about 3 miles if I cross over at the Hawthorne Bridge right here. I think it'll be like a little more than 4 if I do the Tillicum crossing. There's a nice South Waterfront route that I could do, but that ends up putting it at like 8 miles. And that would basically start from the Hawthorne Bridge, go all the way down to the Selwood Bridge, crossing over into Selwood, coming back up on the Sweetwater Corridor, passing the Ross Island Bridge, and returning on the Tillicum crossing. I don't really think I have necessarily the time or energy for it. But yeah, so yesterday went out to the Columbia Gorge to see some waterfalls, and then on the Hood River to see all the windsurfers and kiteboarders. Really cool. Yeah, we'll cross here. Today I'm gonna meet up with my old bosses at Zell's Cafe. I never went there when I lived here, so it should be a fun place to go to. Real stalwart in Portland, been here from the 80s. And then meet up with one of my, he was an old student worker of mine at the Lewis and Clark Law School. He was also someone friend of mine that I would go to the Portland Meadows horse track with, which RIP has closed down since, unfortunately. So the closest horse track from here is Emerald Downs, close to Seattle. It was, my mom dated a trainer that was on the East Coast that would go to Gulfstream and I think like Saratoga in New York. So he had some talent, but he'd be like, oh yeah, Portland Meadows, bottom of the barrel. Yeah, so be it. It was still a lot of fun. And, you know, being in Portland and working for the law school, you got a lot of environmental and animal law people there. So I do have my apprehension about horse racing, but I do like it as like the sport. It is sad what happens to horses, but you know, I don't want to go into it too much, but yeah, I was sad when it closed down. It was almost like kind of like a mom and pop shop of horse racing. It was always struggling. They did a lot to try and revamp it, but they, in the last couple of years, got rid of it. And I think just replaced it with like boring industrial logistical sites. Like I think it might be like warehouses for Amazon or, you know, stuff like that. One last look at the water. So, yeah, speaking about that movie, The Hunted, that scene where they put the max line over it took as long as it is for me to like run over it, which I will say the max isn't too fast, but it wouldn't take that long. I don't know if this was always closed off to road. Can't remember. I guess a little bit of history. This Waterfront Park used to be a highway until Governor Tom McCall, he made the decision to turn this into a public space and make it a park, which we have today. And so we have the I-5 now on the other side. Yeah, after today, I'm thinking we'll go and do just some more local stuff. I'll go back up to Lewis and Clark. They've got a beautiful trail right behind there where I used to take my dogs running when I would take them to work, run on my lunch. I brought up some of my late dog's ashes, Desi, so I'll spread them there. Still plan to spread some in San Diego, where he spent the other half of his life. And then just go to some shops like the outdoor store. There's a vacuum cleaner museum, which I was always fond of. The rebuilding center. Just cool things I really used to love about this place. Alright, so hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. And until next time, keep those feet moving. 3 miles almost.